Welcome to the second video in our series, The Beginner's Guide for Manual Controls in iPhone Photography. In this video, we're going to concentrate on the practical topic of focus. Along with exposure, focus is a key element in the iPhone photography experience. Whether exposure or white balance, viewers can tolerate almost every single technical difficulty in a photograph except focus. There is relatively little that you can do to salvage an out-of-focus photograph, so it's important that you nail it and get it right in camera. I feel compelled to say this. Most experienced shooters know that the technical and the mechanical side of photography needs to become almost reflexive or second nature in order for the creative stuff to kick in. Focus is a technical skill, learn it. Focus and sharpness, they're relative terms, and there's degrees for each, depending on how much clarity you want in your photographs and whether your photographs are going to be used online or in print. Let me give you a basic tip for checking focus while you're shooting. Let's say you shot the shot, open up the camera roll, either double tap the shot to magnify it to 2x, or even pinch zoom the same image to see it slightly larger. If the shot is relatively in focus, keep shooting. If not, rinse and repeat and shoot again. So let me give you a few facts about the iPhone lens that we're working with. It's a fixed aperture of f2.2. It's a 4.1 millimeter lens with a crop factor of a little over 7. That means it has the 35 millimeter equivalent of being a 30 millimeter wide angle lens with a field of view of approximately 73 degrees. The iPhone camera, or any camera for that matter, can only focus on one point in that scene at a time. But there's an area in front of that point and behind that point called the zone of sharpness, or commonly referred to as depth of field. That depth of field is described as either shallow or deep. Since we're talking about depth of field in iPhone photography, let me explain 4 factors that influence depth of field: aperture, focal length of lens, light levels, and of course, focusing distance. In iPhone photography, since the aperture is a fixed f2.2, and the lens is fixed on the iPhone camera as well, the main factor in determining whether your background is going to be in focus or out of focus is the focusing distance. The focusing distance is the distance from the camera to the subject. And again, break down the subject into foreground, midground, and then background all the way to the back. The way to recede the focus of the background and even the midground is to get your camera as close as possible to the subject or object that you're photographing. Again, that's called focusing distance. The closer you are to the subject, the more out of focus that background's going to become. You control the focusing distance. There's 3 specific ways to focus your iPhone camera: autofocus, tap focus, and manual focus. So let's illustrate all 3. I'm going to open up my favorite camera replacement app, Camera Plus. It defaults to autofocus, and boom, I'm going to shoot away. Auto expose, autofocus, really nothing to it. Tap to focus. And all you do is simply tap the screen on the part of the scene that you want to draw the viewer's attention to. That's tap to focus. In this case, I want the viewer's attention to be on this cool 50s red chair. So I'm going to tap my focus right on the chair and shoot away. You can even lock the focus and shoot away. Manual focus. So to get there, I'm going to hit the focus reticle right here, and you can see this intuitive wheel right here. That acts pretty much like a focusing ring on your DSLR. See how I can focus through the shot? And this is really when you want to refine your focus and pull your focus. Wow, that's so nice. I can focus on the sign if I want, have the bottles out of focus, or I could focus on the bottles and have the background. Let me give you just a couple quick tips on macro focus. Now, we have a whole dedicated video coming up to exploring macro and close-up photography, but I can't resist showing you the macro shooting mode in Camera Plus 6 because it's relative to focus. So let me take a wide shot here. Okay, here's another cool shot. We're in the same booth here at the Austin Antique Mall, and I love these 50s type of salt and pepper shakers. This is in normal mode, nothing to it. I'm going to take a shot just like that. Now I'm going to go to my macro shooting mode, hit the plus sign, hit the macro icon. Look at that, minimize the utility bar there, and boom, I've got my shot. And if I want to check the focus again, I'm going to pull up my manual focus, and I can even refine that focus. You can see how sweet that is. Tips for controlling focus and sharpness. Number 1, use a firm grip, 2 hands instead of 1. Number 2, shoot in the brightest and best light possible. Number 3, use wheel focus or fine manual controlled focus when you're shooting close-up objects and subjects. Number 4, sometimes locking the focus on what you're shooting is the recipe for success. Number 5, when using a shutter speed less than 1/30th of a second, you use a tripod. Number 6, in order to reduce or eliminate vibration on the camera, use a remote trigger. Number 7, if you're going to print, make sure that photograph is extra sharp. When you're talking about focusing with your iPhone camera, it's hard not to also talk about focal length and field of view. Simply put, focal length is the distance measured in millimeters from the optical center of the lens to the sensor. The field of view is what that lens sees in degrees. One of the biggest differences between a DSLR and an iPhone camera is the way they handle focus. With just a little effort and imagination on your part, your iPhone camera photos in manual focus mode can start to take on the look and feel and style of even your DSLR photos. Stay focused.